Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money. With your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 249 of Screw the Commute podcast. I got my old buddy, Gayl Murphy's here. I want to give you a quote of her just to give you an intro of what you're in for this particular episode. This is a quote from Gayl. She says if there's one thing she's learned from interviewing world-famous celebrities, newsmakers, and experts of all kinds is you'll never be able to tell the world about who you are and what you've accomplished if you don't have the interview tactics and media skills it takes to package and tell your story, but you got to tell it in a way that people will remember you and want to tell their friends and colleagues about you. You want it to go viral. And take this from this expert, Gayl. If you can't tell your own story, who can and who will? You got to tell it to sell it. So we're going to bring her on in just a minute. Episode 248 was Greg Williams. I think we laughed more than we talked during this whole thing. When he and I get together, it's just a hoot. Greg is the master negotiator and body language expert. He's got 7 books out, an 8th one on the way on negotiating tips and reading body language. And we even carefully talked about some of the body language and tells when people were lying in the political arena. So it's a lot of fun. Check out episode 248. And then grab a copy of our free automation ebook. We charge $27 for this thing, but you get it free for listening to Screw the Commute podcast. And you go to screwthecommute.com/automate free. Now, that's going to be in the show notes along with stuff for Gayl later. So this is episode 249. So if you want to go directly to the show notes, you go screwthecommute.com/249. But anyway, this book is invaluable to you. It helps you take care of customers lightning fast. I was able to handle 150,000 subscribers and 40,000 customers with myself and a part-time person using a lot of the tips. We figured it out one time. I saved 7.5 million keystrokes. That's not an exaggeration. And that we figured that out like 2 years ago. So just one of the tips in the book. So make sure you grab a copy of that at screwthecommute.com/automate free. Then we've got screwthecommute.com/podcast app. So screwthecommute.com/app, that's APP, and you can get our podcast app. But you know what? We don't just give you an app and then you got to figure it out on your own. We're going to have a video for you to show you screen captures of how to use it, to use all the fancy features on your cell phone or tablet. And we got screen captures and video screen captures, and you won't be lost by using this great app we have. So check that out at screwthecommute.com/app. Now, our sponsor is the Internet Marketing Training Center in Virginia. It's a distance learning school which teaches legitimate techniques to make a great living either working for someone else or starting your own online business or both. And guess what? We are opening it up to in-house classes after 11 years of running the school. And I want you to check out a quiz we put there. It's imtcva.org/quiz. It covers 7 ways colleges and universities are totally fraudulently, in my not so humble opinion, ripping you and your children off. And it's real. You're going to be mad when you take this quiz. It only takes about 2 minutes, but it exposes what they're doing to you. I don't want that to happen to you. So check it out. All right, let's get to the main event. Gayl Murphy is a media shape shifter. I got to be able to say that carefully so I don't have to make this an explicit podcast. She's a media shape shifter. She's a much sought after Hollywood correspondent, media and presentation coach. She's a speaker and author of Interview Tactics: How to Survive the Media Without Getting Clobbered. She's reported on and media coach some of the biggest celebrities in the entertainment and popular culture. And she's worked for ABC News, BBC News, Sky News, and E! And I just love her to death. She took me to a fancy party with all these celebrities just years ago, and I'll never forget it. So Gayl, are you ready to screw the commute?
Baby,
Are you ready? All right.
I'm ready.
All right. So let's screw, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got one heck of a cool job. You go way back in Hollywood. You were the original traffic Tootsie. And what's that other thing you were?
The celebritizer.
Right. But wasn't there some other character you had in the early days?
Oh, Greta Legumbo.
Greta Legumbo.
Yeah, she's on Social Security now.
Oh, okay. So, folks, this is the second time Gail's been on, so I don't remember what episode she was on before, but listen to those stories because they're just crazy of the early
funny.
days. And
You twisted my arm on that one, honey.
that's all right. So, interviewing. That's important for people, right? But we're not talking about job interviews. I mean, I guess it could play into that a lot, but we're talking about.
It could be anything that you're selling. How do you get people to buy from you? Obviously, if you're in business, the biggest thing you have for sale is yourself.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
You know, and in your case, your knowledge and information or your school or whatever. But if you have to sell your grandmother's car because she's not driving anymore, or you have a washer dryer in your house and you want to sell that, and use it as an exercise to make sure you still got your selling mojo going on.
So these techniques that you teach can translate into a lot of different arenas in your life.
Absolutely, positively. If you're not authentic in yourself and you don't know that it's showtime, it's time to step up and be the star of the me show, starring me, or in this case, you, which actually just means is that you have captured the attention of the person that you're talking to. It doesn't matter what situation that you're in. And for me as a business person, there's no money in teaching people how to sell their old washer dryer.
Right. Well, right. But you can it can mean millions of dollars to a person that can do it big time in their business.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things people don't realize is that when you're selling something and people buy from you, you think that it's your product that they're buying, but they're not really buying your product. They're buying the experience of you. And really that's where being authentic comes in, and being yourself and not being so silly, If you just tell your story with energy and you make it about the person that you're talking to, at least if they don't buy from you, they may tell someone else about you,
right,
because maybe for them the timing wasn't good, or they just had already signed up with somebody else, but they knew at some time you were going to work together. And I know that's true because every single person listening to this conversation that we're having right now has always been in a situation where they've run into someone that they've met 5 years ago where they said, I always wanted to work with you. I always wanted to work with you. I always, was thinking, gosh, I wonder if there's a project that's ever come up. I'd love to work with that person.
Well, when we take this into the media arena, you have interviewed literally thousands of people in your career. I mean,
about 15 to 16,000.
15 or 16,000 from A-list to business executives to everything in between, I imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when somebody's got it and when they don't, right? And so you've identified these traits that make people memorable and help move people to action. So give us some ideas of how you can improve on this.
And I'm still learning always.
Well,
everybody's different, and they'll say something and I'm like, oh, okay, that clicks in. That was really kind of stunning the way they did that.
Mm-hmm. So give us some tips on how we can improve this. What are some of and some of the mistakes that people make that really ruin things in a hurry?
Well, the biggest thing is not understanding how the media works and what it thrives on. The media thrives on two things in particular. One of them is sound bites and talking points. Sound bites for time and talking points for story. Because at the end of the day, it's all about your story. So you have to have a story you have to have a lot of stories, but basically it's a story about who you are, what you're selling, what is it? What is it? Who needs it? Who uses it? Who wants it? Who's your target market? Who did you think was your target market, and it turned out to be this other target market, and now you have both of them. So it's who are you? What are you selling? Why would I need it? What's my problem, so that you can solve it for me?
Is this kind of like a press release? Who, what, where, when, why kind of thing?
We're spreading the news, babe. You got it. You nailed it. Yeah. Because that's what the media is all about. Here, at the end of the day, when I first met you, the definition of media was radio, TV, print, billboards, magazines, newspapers, and people in the production of.
There was no internet even at the time.
Yeah. So if you lived in LA or New York and your uncle didn't work for the Washington Post or the Los Angeles Times, you didn't know anybody in the media, or your friend's brother did a radio show. You didn't have that. The likelihood of you interfacing with the media was slim, to say the most. So the definition of media, according to the dictionary, was radio, TV, print, and people in the production of. But we had a shift in media from 2000 to 2000, and it's still happening, of such teutonic proportions that change the way in which we communicate into an unrecognizable thing. Just think about it. We haven't even been texting, I don't think, for 7 years or something like that. And it's going to go on well after you and I are gone. And that's true. And it's amazing. So that definition's not going to stand anymore. So I redefined media. I said, thank you, Mr. Encyclopedia Britannica, or it's not happening. The new definition of media is anyone or anything that has the ability to take your message and move it forward. Anyone or anything that has the ability to take your message and move it forward.
Could be TikTok.
It could be anything.
Yeah.
So if I ask you if you've ever done any media and you say no, that means you have no cell phone. You've never sent an email. You've never left a message on anybody's voicemail. You've never been in a photograph. You've never played charades, right?
Yeah.
We are broadcasting 24/7, even before this teutonic shift. That said, we had pen pals when we were kids. So we've been broadcasting in 2020. You're broadcasting 24/7, armed with a couple of cell phones or a cell phone and a couple of social media sites. You're broadcasting, and you're bigger than CNN, Fox, MSNBC, BBC, all wrapped up in one. So and every person that has the ability to read your messages and posts is potentially your next client, fan, or customer. And so you got to start really thinking like a real business person. You got to pull up your media panties, and you really have to decide how you want the world to see you. Do you really want them to know the biggest thing about you is that you just ate a donut?
Well, it was a lot of nice sprinkles on it.
Yeah, well, sure, but I would rather sell some books, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Or widgets, or coaching, or whatever it is that you do. So I think that's the first thing. We have to really turn our brain around and really acknowledge that the landscape is completely different, and that either everything around you is going to be something that works for you, or it's going to be something that you run away from.
Or you waste a lot of time on too.
Or you waste a lot of time. If you want to move forward with what's happening, you need to adapt. And what you need to do to adapt is know, understand, and appreciate what the media wants is exactly what they wanted when the media was, in fact, TV, radio, print, newspapers, and magazines. And what that is a story. And what that story is your story. And if you can't tell it, you can't sell it. I'm here to help you put your story together. That's what I do. Who are you? What are you selling? Why do I need it? And where can I get it?
Now, I heard a pretty prominent a person in the field say one time, the media likes heat better than light. In other words, they love arguments. And is that how you would interpret that?
That's for-profit media. That you're not going to find that necessary. Well, you know what? You can do that with your language. You don't have to be an a-hole.
Uh-huh.
And that's what a lot of them like about it. And that we all wind up clicking them out because it's like, stop yelling, stop yelling. Tell me something that's going to empower me as a person, that's going to guide my decision as to whether I want to work with you or not, or whether I'm interested in purchasing what it is you have so that I can learn something else about myself.
Now, what are some of the big mistakes that people make that can shoot themselves in the foot right off the bat?
Well, they don't know what they're not prepared. That's the thing. They're not prepared. They don't know what they're doing. The majority of the phone calls that I get or the emails that I get is that I've already done 20 interviews already, and I've invested all this money in a publicist, and I've done these interviews and I suck so bad. Can you help me? And that's me. I can get you unsucked and get you adorable and beautiful. And the reason why people suck is because they don't know what to do.
They should really come to you first.
They should really, yes. You know why? Because you're already doing it. You're already doing media.
Yeah, and you can put a bad foot forward and not get some of the big things because you screwed up so bad.
Look at all of these people that we see that are trying to do something in 2020, and somebody decides to dig up a bunch of tweets they put out in 2015. Yeah. Okay? Mm-hmm. You have to be respectful of this dynamic machine that's in your purse or in your back pocket. Because nobody else wrote those tweets. Nobody else wrote those posts. Your fingerprints and your face is all over it. You did that. You did that because you didn't know what you were doing. So we have to have a lot of respect for this energy stream known as media. It's anyone or anything that has the ability to take your message and move it forward. So you decide how you want the world to see you.
And you help them mold that, right? Because sometimes people can't see themselves the way an outsider would. So you help them mold that persona, right?
Yeah. How do you want the world to see you? Do you want them to see you? In other words, if you are a banker, the CEO of some bank, you don't want to show up on MSNBC, on the business, on Bloomberg. You don't want to show up on C-SPAN or Bloomberg, in gangbanger shorts and a dirty T-shirt. We live in a visual world. So how do you want the world to see you?
I want the world to see me as an international playboy, but I have a feeling you would talk me out of it.
I would not. I absolutely. If you're married to it, we can pull it off.
I think I got divorced from that about 20 years ago.
Yeah, we can pull that off, no problem. But you could be an international playboy on the side. You don't have to be a one-trick pony.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I do that on the internet. I got separate websites for separate things. But so how, all right, you get that phone call from that lady that at least she realized she sucked. A lot of people don't realize it, and they think they did good, and, they're begrudging that, you tell them that they suck. But so how do you work with that person?
They know.
Most of them do?
You know how they know?
They get no results.
No feedback. They got no results.
Yeah.
Nothing. They sent out a blast of 500 people and nobody even opened it.
Well, you're lucky because, see, I get people tell me how great their website is. And I say, well, how much money is it making? Well, it's not, but it's very pretty. It's very nice. Look how so,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
got the wrong scale of success there.
And the reason why you know that is because you're thinking like the buyer and the seller.
Mm-hmm.
I already know what I need. I already know what I eat. What does my perfect customer or fan, what do they eat? So that
Mm-hmm.
I can feed them, so that I can give it to them. I know they don't, I know they want me, I know what they want from me. They want stories, they want to know about the business. They know they want me to be real because there's so many people that aren't real. They want reality because it's their business. And I don't blow smoke. And sometimes what I want to tell them comes very, very quickly, just because I've been around it so much, and you know exactly what that means and what that looks like. I have to ask for permission before we start, and I go, listen, uh, I'm gonna interrupt you a whole bunch of times. I don't want you to think that I'm being rude or whatever, but sometimes it just comes to me very fast and I don't just speak up. So if we could agree right now that I'm not breaking your heart or hurting you, this may start moving along very, very
Well, that's
quickly.
good setting the expectations because, again, a lot of times I imagine within milliseconds, you already know the problem after 16,000 interviews. You know,
Immediately,
yeah.
how do I say to them, the reason why you're not doing as well as you could be is because you're not in your body. Now you know what that means, but someone who's very new at that doesn't know what that means. And if they're, and they look at me and they go, if I'm not in my body, who is, right? So it's very eccentric. It's really what it is I'm changing you on the inside and not on the outside. I can change you on the outside too, so that so that the two match up.
Do you
It's
actually get into image and stuff?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I worked in Nashville for a while where we worked on show performance.
Okay. So, because, like you were saying about the bankers, dressing the part.
Yeah, when I have people that are going on like Good Morning America, we exchange a lot of photographs.
So
I just
this work can be done remotely. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because they don't
You
have
can
to go to Los Angeles to take advantage of.
no, we can do it that sure,
Hmm.
absolutely. Absolutely. Sure.
Okay, so you get permission from them, and
Yeah.
then what's the do you interview them to see where?
Yes, yes. Usually the first thing I say to them is, have you done much media? How did it go? How did you feel? What was going on? What was happening? And at the end of the day, it all comes down to one thing. I didn't know what I was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
you know and I'm like, okay, well, let's just start with what you did know. Did you know that they were going to ask you questions and you're going to get answers? And they go, yes. Did you know that you're supposed to listen to the questions? Yes. So you did know a couple of things, and that's good because you said you didn't know anything. So that's good. You know more than you think you know.
So did you know they weren't going to read your book?
Yeah, well, yeah, yeah. I've got a great story about that. A friend of mine who writes novels was on a radio tour. This was years ago. It was a radio tour around the country, and he was like in Chicago or something like that. And it was for TV. And as they're pinning the microphone on him, and the director is going 3, 2, 1, the host leaned over to my friend and said, "I just wanted to let you know I never read your book."
Well, that was nice of them to at least let them know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And my friend was such a pro. He looked at him and he said, "Don't worry, I got this."
Yeah, I would have said I didn't read yours either. Yeah.
And yeah, yeah. And that's what you never. If you don't know what you're doing, that's not what you want to hear. Because
Right.
you don't know. You don't really understand or appreciate why you're there and what it is you're supposed to do. The reason why you're there is to tell a story, to set up a problem, how that problem happens, and how you come in and save the day.
Yeah, and one thing I remember way back when I first started, the thing that was so disconcerting to me was doing a TV interview, and the interviewer would ask me a question and then look down at their notes and not look at me while I'm trying to answer. I'm thinking I'm supposed to talk to them and give them eye contact, and they're looking at their notes, and it's like totally disconcerting if you're not ready for it.
You're in the zone. They're not even there. This is a job for your ears. Don't look to them, because they have an A camera and a B camera. They're on the A camera. You're on the B camera. When they're talking to you, the A camera's over, and they want to look good the next time their camera works.
Yeah. So if you didn't know this, you could blow a whole interview, your biggest chance on earth, because you just got flustered because you didn't know that. So
well, let me ask you a question. Taking me out of the equation, where the hell do you go to learn this
exactly
stuff?
That's what I'm saying. You don't read it in a book. I mean, you might read it in your book, but you still have to practice and get feedback, and look at where the camera's going to hit you. If your hair's over your eyes, you got jangly jewelry. All of this stuff affects your overall appearance.
That's it. I mean, absolutely. I was training someone not long ago who was doing a bunch of radio media tour, a TV satellite tours, which is when you're in. Well, they weren't satellite, they were live. So you're in a room with a camera person, a sound person, a producer, and every 5 minutes they bring in a different reporter. And so it's showtime all over again.
That's if you're lucky. I was in a room with just a motorized camera with nothing.
So I had to really break it down with this person. I said, okay, so here's how it's going to work out. So you're going to do hair and makeup, and then someone's going to come and get you. And they're going to come and get you. And it's so basically a minder. And they're going to bring you into the room. And the first person you're going to meet is it's not going to be the camera person. It's either going to be somebody from the studio, or it's going to be the person that's producing it. You shake their hand, tell them your name, ask them what their name is, and you do that. You do that with every single person. And I'm telling you something, 5 years later, after you win the Grammy, they're going to remember being in that room with you and say, God, he was such a nice guy. He walked in the room, he introduced himself as if, right?
Right.
And shook hands with everybody. So you have to show people the caliber and quality of who you are as a person.
I took a bunch of donuts I was on a show in San Antonio, and the stage man, who treats them nice? The stage manager is doing all the hard work.
That's right.
So I made sure to thank her and shake her hand. And then I came back 2 years later, brought her donuts, and she thought I walked on water, So it goes a long way.
The little things. It's all about the little things. So let me just give you some hints right here. Just
Great.
Little cheat sheet. You want to be as honest and as upfront as you can with the person that's interviewing you or looking to buy your product, without giving up anything you wouldn't want to read about yourself tomorrow in the newspaper. So be as honest as you can, but you don't have to give them your heart and soul.
Got it.
You can just be like Tom and give him a donut.
Or two.
You want to relax and enjoy having a good time. Have a good time. Being interviewed is supposed to be fun. And the reason why it's supposed to be fun, you get to be the star of the me show, starring me, or in this case, you. And who doesn't love that? If you don't love that, call me, right? Just call me. Okay. I was like, so what is your job? Your job is to capture your listeners' attention and imagination in the shortest amount of time. One of the best ways of doing that is by using color and detail in describing what you're talking about. Names, dates, places, what time of day was it? What were they wearing? Not a whole bunch, just enough to create a sense of place. And always speak in complete sentences and avoid lazy language. Start noticing some of the ways in which you're using some of the ways you're using language to describe your business, your product, and your service, is that like a little 2015? Maybe you need to brush up the words that are kind of languishing or have become a little bit lazy or old fashioned. Keep people engaged in what you're saying so they'll continue asking you questions.
Mm-hmm.
This keeps the interview dynamic and cohesive and moving it along. So where do you get that kind of energy? Remember, it's showtime. You're in the zone. It's that guy playing in the World Series at the top of the ninth, and everybody's screaming at the pitcher, and he doesn't hear one thing. He doesn't hear anything at all because he's in the zone.
Got it.
So prepare in advance. Know what the hard questions are about what you're selling in advance. You know what they are, and what you're going to say before you talk to the press or any gatekeepers. Just don't write a script. Think more along the lines of talking points. And the reason why you don't want to bring stuff with you, because you already know this. You've been talking about it as a dream and then a wish, and then you got the money, and then you found someone who wanted to help. You know all this. You don't need a piece of paper. What you do need is you need to know how to drill down on it, figure out what your bullet points are, and just clean it up so that it just comes out like conversation, which is exactly what I'm doing right now. You want to stay on topic. You want to stay focused. You want to be specific. That's how you act in the zone. That pitcher in the ninth inning is not thinking about, gee, do I need gas in my car on the way home? Give facts and information so the stuff is real. Names, dates, places. And don't forget, there is no such thing as off the record.
Yeah.
So you have your sound bites ready. They'll help your story. You keep it compelling and attention grabbing. Murphy's Law, a soundbite is a brief and outstanding mini version of who you are and what you're selling, like an audio snapshot. So if you don't know what sound bites are, I definitely recommend you shell out the $20 and get my book, but get the ebook. It's a lot more manageable. And I'll teach you how to create your own sound bites. If you don't want to do that, start listening to the candidates, because they'll tell you about who they are. And then you see them 7 times in a row and they're telling the same story over again, but it's a little bit different each time. Those are their sound bites. Or
yeah, so before you go on, tell them the name of the book again and where they get it.
Sure. So you also may want to watch like Entertainment Tonight or Access Hollywood. And when they go to film, they set it up and then they go to the actual clip itself. A clip is really a video soundbite.
Are you suggesting people take B-roll with them to TV or offer it?
What do you mean?
Well, if they're going to a TV interview, should they offer the station B-roll?
When you're doing your prep with the producer, let them know that you have some B-roll if they're interested.
Yeah, tell everybody what B-roll is.
B-roll is stuff that they can use that's already been shot that makes a good segue from one to the other.
So you could be talking, but they're showing this other video of what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, just tell them you have it available and have that conversation with them at least 4 or 5 days before, so it gives them an opportunity to look at it. You don't want them to not use it because they didn't have the time.
Right.
Okay, so work with them and it makes you look like a professional. Just don't be pushy. You just say, by the way, I just wanted to let you know. You want to tell them, and then also when you're in an email, you might say, oh, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but I have some B-roll. If you guys are interested, here it is right now.
Yeah, I even gave them some TV-ready graphics now, and they thought like, oh, man, this guy's great. We didn't have to do crap for his segment. You want to make it easy on them, but without being pushy and not overstepping your bounds.
Sometimes they're gonna tell you, No, I don't need anything. Get out of here and shut up. But other times they're going to be really nice to you, like they were just nice to Tom. So you don't know. So don't let somebody put your fire out. Whenever possible, you want to connect your story or pitch your story with a story or trend that's already in the headlines right now. Then you and your story becomes as newsworthy as the story that's taking up all the headlines.
Yeah, and unfortunately, one of my students is an active shooter expert. And so he's got his Google alerts. Those of you out there who don't know what that is you can put keywords in and it'll email you when that word shows up in the news. So unfortunately, he's been busier this year than ever with all these shootings. Yeah. And but he gets an instant email, and then he calls up the media in that's what she's talking about basically, is newsjacking. You're jumping, you're piggybacking on what's in the news. And he offers himself as an expert, active shooter expert, and then sometimes he gets brought in to do the class for him. So that's what she's talking about.
And let me tell you something, for those of you who are listening to this right now and you have a certain expertise and this particular tip resonates for you, you want to go through the headlines and see where you apply to anything that's happening and do a whole bunch of tweeting and posting and that kind of stuff out there. Maybe they can't use it today or tomorrow, but it will resonate with someone. Okay. Also, listen carefully what they're asking you, because your answer, you want it to be specific to their question and you want it to be succinct. Okay. Don't be long-winded.
Now you can help them practice this remotely, right?
Absolutely.
Do you do like role playing and things like that with you?
Oh God, yeah. And sometimes I know when I work with the studios, sometimes like we'll do like 5 or 6 sessions, and I'm really proud and they're really doing well. And I pitch them on the idea of letting me interview them for like 20 minutes. And because it's me and they're used to me and they're warm with me.
Right.
We'll do an interview because we can stop and start, and they keep all of that and break it up into 5 or 6 video clips, and they can put it on their website, use it for social media and that kind of stuff. And I'll tell you something, if you do all the right things, if you do some hair and makeup and you have your clothes all put together because you're only going to shoot you from above the waist and that kind of stuff, you can use those videos for like 10 years.
Nice. Yeah. All right, we got to take a brief sponsor break. When we come back, we're going to ask Gayl, what's a typical day look like for her being a big Hollywood superstar, and how she handles some of the crazies out there.
Karate.
There you go. So, folks, I really want you to check out that quiz I was telling you about at school website. It's imtcva.org/quiz. And it may not apply to you, but I guarantee you know somebody that's either got kids thinking about going to college or they're thinking about re-educating themselves, and it could save them hundreds of thousands of dollars. There's no downside to just knowing what you're getting into, because some of the tricks that they're pulling. I mean, I have a show in development in Hollywood called Scam Brigade. It's a consumer advocate show. I would say that these colleges and universities would be sued or in jail if they were regular people doing some of this stuff. That's how serious some of the things are. So check that out at imtcva.org/quiz. And if I can help you get out of that mess, our school, we have a student that after 1 month was making $1,100 a month, 2 months, $3,000 a month. She just called and quit her job, making $5,000 or $6,000 a month, and is only halfway through the school. So it's very powerful. People want skills nowadays. I mean, Google, Apple, IBM, Bank of America, and hundreds of other big companies aren't even requiring a college degree anymore. And you certainly don't want that debt and then compete for a job at Starbucks. So if I can help you, give us a call. All right, let's get back to Gayl Murphy. She is a superstar media shape shifter. I got to say that carefully. And she's been giving us great tips on how to really tell our story and do it in a way that's media savvy. So Gayl, what's a typical day look like for you?
It depends. At the end of the day, I'm in the news business. So some days are busier than others. I don't cover politics, but I cover show business. So the last month or two have been pretty busy, especially last weekend with the Oscars.
Oscars, yeah.
Yeah, and we had the Oscars and the Grammys and the SAG Awards and the Critics Awards, and I'm a founding member of the Critics' Choice Awards.
Wow.
So, yeah, so it varies. There's when you do what I do, you have to be
So you have
okay.
to just drop things and run sometimes if some breaking news happens?
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember the day that Whitney Hughes. I have when it comes to reporting, I have one superpower.
What's that?
But whatever it is, I am what's called a live reporter.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't use any video. It's all live as it's happening, and that's just how
Well, then
it
you've
is.
got to coordinate with a camera person, the producer, right?
I know it's all on Skype now.
So you're doing your own live
Yes.
shots?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, you got a selfie stick or what? What you got?
Just the reporting. No, I have it set up. I do.
So you
it,
set yourself up a tripod and then you do a live on the street thing.
No, I don't do it out there.
Oh.
I'm just reporting it as a talking head.
Oh, okay. So do you
Yeah,
do it at
so
home or where do you?
No, there's not enough money in it for me to run out into the streets.
I got it.
No, I would if I didn't have to go by myself, but there you
Right.
go.
Yeah.
It's too much to handle. So, but it's, if you watch Fox or you watch CNN, they catch the people at their desk. It's the same kind of thing. And they're breaking that same kind of news that's only like a minute and a half old.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Just, I'm at my desk. That's just how it is. I mean, everything is so sped up that, you next thing you know, they'll invent people to go to the bathroom for you. So
Now you're an independent contractor, right?
I am, and I have my own business. Yes.
Right.
And I have clients. So that's kind of how it works.
But I mean, if the BBC, could several different major networks have you doing stuff at the same week? Or
yeah, right, back to back.
do they overlap sometimes where you do an interview and sell it to more than one place, or is that a no-no?
No, it's fine.
Oh,
It's fine. Well, because the interviews that I do are audio, so I send those out, and you wouldn't hear my voice in it.
I see.
Yeah.
Very
So,
cool.
and I'd be selling them content. So I sell content, or I sell me as a correspondent, whatever it is they want, and I can do it. I'll sell it to them.
Do you ever run into people that want to do what you do? Do you have a course for that?
I don't. I tell you something. What I do is a collision between old school and new school. It really is. They're not, they don't teach people how to be live. They teach them how to do stand-ups, which is when they're there and somebody's shooting you. But they don't teach them actually just to sit behind that desk and answer questions that you don't even know they're going to ask you. I mean, I don't know what you're going to ask me. I know what we're going to talk about.
Right.
But I don't know what you're going to ask me. So
here's a typical question I would ask. What are you wearing?
Yeah, exactly. That's you. Exactly. Yeah. Fatigues. Why?
Combat boots, right?
And combat boots. Exactly. Yes. I just came from a date. That's right. But the whole thing is, we're on what's called live air right now, even though you're recording it in advance and it's live to tape, but it's live air. We're not stopping.
Right.
I don't know how much is actually put into. I don't fear. I don't fear the fact that I just cleared my throat.
Right.
So I don't fear it. And in that, I flourish a lot better. And from what I understand is they like it.
It's more real.
It doesn't matter whether I like it or not. they like it. And if it gets the point across and they get what they want, if they're happy, I'm happy. What I'm trying to say is don't judge yourself. If you hit all the points and did what you were supposed to do, you're done. Nobody's going to come and slap you on the back. It doesn't work like that. There are no rewards. This is not like kids' baseball where everybody gets a trophy.
Yeah, that's for sure.
If you get to walk away with audio or video or a photograph, those are 3 things you didn't have to pay for.
Yeah, and they lend a lot of credibility too.
That's right. Exactly. That's why we post all those pictures of me with celebrities.
Yeah, in fact, I mean, some of this stuff, you get a TV spot, it's gone in like 10 seconds, but on the website, it might last for a lot longer, so.
Exactly. So you want to get that stuff out as much as possible.
All right. So how do they get in touch with you if they want to work with you?
Well, my website is gaylmurphy.com. So it's Gayl, no E, Gayl, Murphy, Murphy. So it's www.gaylmurphy.com.
All right. We'll have that in the show notes, of course. And then
and you can send a request to me through the website and communicate with me that way, or you can email me. It's Gayl, Gayl, at gaylmurphy.com.
And you said you wanted to, weren't you saying before we got started you wanted to send them something?
Yeah. If you contact me and we talk about some training for you, because I'll give you we're on Tom's show, so it's a friends and family kind of deal.
Yeah, it'll cost you more.
I'll say that's right. Yeah, boy, you're gonna have to take out a loan. I'll send you some 35 interview tactics.
Oh, wow.
For great. Surviving the media without getting clobbered. And the media is anyone or anything that has the ability to take your message and move it forward.
Wow.
So if you lived in a place like Hollywood, where I live, and let's say you go to the car wash and the person, you don't know, because it's such an industry town for my industry, you don't really know at any time who you're talking to. And that applies also if you live in Nashville and you're a singer-songwriter, or you live in New York City and you want to break into the whole Wall Street financial sector or fashion or something, you have no idea who anybody around you is. It could be somebody you're trying to get on the phone for the last 6 months. And suddenly there you are in the car wash and they're standing next to you and you're having a conversation. If they ask you what you do, it's showtime. That's right. You got to tell it to sell it without sounding like you're selling anything, because all you're doing is telling a story.
Wow.
Here's the thing, how this whole thing works. If we don't look at it in a very macro way, right into the weeds, ground zero, there's no way you can build on it. If you can't tell your story to one person, guess what? You can't tell it to a million. So it's very important to stay in this space where you can still look at stuff and go, oh, I wonder if this fits here. I wonder if this fits here. Yeah. And you're always getting better. So it's a process. It's a journey. It's not the destination.
Well, yeah, but it's speeded up a lot by having somebody that's done 16,000 interviews check you out.
You think?
Maybe.
Yeah.
So,
maybe.
All right.
I just caught one of my clients on CNBC last Saturday morning. I was like, dang.
Yeah. All right. So thanks so much, Gayl. So I want everybody to go to gaylmurphy.com, GAYLMURPHY. Get in touch with Gayl. She can literally change your life for the better. And she's been there, done this. I don't have people on here that are, giving book reports. I mean, 16,000 interviews. Holy crap. So check it all out. And thanks, Gayl. It's good catching up with you.
Thanks, Tom. It's always a pleasure.
All right. We'll catch everybody on the next episode. See you later.